Welcome to Martech Legacy. I'm your host Varsha Sarkar, and the topic for today's episode is Overcoming Product GTM Challenges Lessons from Failed Launches. Our guest for today is Parth Shrivastava, who is the Director of Marketing at Wooqer. Parth is a data driven, full funnel marketer with a deep expertise in product marketing. He has successfully launched and scaled AI, deep tech, and fintech B2B SaaS products. Additionally, his written work has been published in top publications such as HubSpot, The Startup, Hackamoon, Terribly Tiny Tales, and more. Welcome to our show, Parth.
Thank you so much, Varsha. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. So, getting started, I wanted to ask you, how do you identify early signs that a product launch is not going as it's supposed to and is headed towards failure?
I think a lot of people do plan for success, right? Whenever we plan for something, especially in product launches, right? We look at happy phenomenons mostly, like, hey, I've planned this product, I'm going to launch it in so and so time frame, and this is what my success looks like. I'll have X traffic, social engagement, signups, conversions, revenue, so on and so forth.
Right.
But one thing I've seen is that we should always plan for failure, at least
Mhm.
hypothetically plan for failure. Like Murphy's Law, right? Whatever can go wrong would most probably will go wrong, right?
Yes.
And that generally happens with a lot of launches, right? Because launches is some such enigmatic thing, right? I mean, a lot of things do go wrong, timing, people, research, everything else as well. So one thing I've seen is to plan for failure. And once we've launched a few products, we got to know that planning for failure works very well. So you work backtracks. You see, okay, this is my launch timeline. This is what my launch looks like. This is what success looks like. But
Mhm.
what are the key factors which would set it up for failure? Right? Is it the product quality, research, timing? Right? I mean, timing is always so hard. Everything else as well. So once you start seeing these small nuances, then you can actually predict if you're and set yourself up for definitely success. Because if you
Mhm.
don't plan for failure, it's really hard to set yourself for success. So that's what, after doing a few launches, we have realized that understanding where you could really fail would definitely help out. It's number one, and almost nowadays are just a given to me that you have to plan for failure. Right? That's number one.
Mhm.
Second thing which I've noticed a lot is the misalignment between different teams. I mean, mostly I've seen product and marketing teams get
Mhm.
involved in this. Sometimes they're buying from customer success, sales as well, of course. But there's but if there's no one centralized figure uh, launching the product, right?
Mhm.
Most Mostly, I would say that it has to be a PMM, right? A product marketing manager, or somebody who's taking care of product marketing in your organization. But if there is, because those are the ones which have a very balanced relationship with definitely marketing, of course. But
Mhm.
I've seen and I've reported to product, I've reported to sales as well in my past as a product marketing manager or product marketing leader, right? So a PMM is very centrally placed to lead this product. So if there's misalignment, it generally happens because if there's somebody else leading it, either product leading it or marketing individually leading it, or somewhere else, or some different function altogether leading it. So if there's a misalignment between the team, a lot of things can go wrong, right? I mean, your right identification of persona, right identification of your launch strategy, right? A GTM, because if your personas are wrong, right, eventually you'll
Mhm.
find out the launch places are wrong as well. Your tactics would eventually turn out to be not as good as you would supposed to, because your demand projection will go wrong from right from the start, right?
Right.
So that's another fun big thing which I've noticed.
Mhm.
Set ourselves up for failure in product launches.
So, can you share a specific example of a product launch that failed, and what were the key lessons that you learned out of it?
One big launch in one of the previous companies, we had a product running, we were doing pretty great. So we launched a sub product, sort of an extension of the product. I think of it, for example, we for a customer support automation platform, we also wanted to launch
Mhm.
a knowledge based repository where people can look into it, make a knowledge base page out of it, and of course, take data from it, and of course, use it in their customer support automation workflows, right?
Right.
So we did plan a pretty decent launch for it, but it did not go as right as we would have liked. There were
Mhm.
actually two to three primary reasons for it. One was basically, which I've seen a lot of time happening, is the wrong demand projection, right? Because we
Mhm.
are in the industry, we're working on a product from a couple of years, and then there's a sub-product idea came up, and then we wanted to launch it. Of course, with of course development and everything is definitely the key part of it. Projections generally go wrong, in my opinion, because it's a pseudo border minor phenomenon, right? Because you're too consumed in your industry, your personas, your product, that you don't see the bigger picture. So what we did is, okay, we are hearing from our customers, we are hearing from our demand, we have a market that, okay, we need this product embedded into our product, and that then they both can independently and conveniently together exist in our ecosystem. But this was because we had recency bias of people telling us, because we had a lot of customers coming us and telling us that, hey, we do need this. But when you click out from it, this whole universe, which we perhaps did not study as much as we should have, right? Because a certain set of customers, certain cohort of audience is telling us, hey, it's a great product to have. You should definitely have it in your stack. But the entirety of the world, right? How much is the demand for it? Can it independently exist? The competitor benchmarking, right? The price sensitivity of it as well. All of these things did not flow in the research as much as they should have. So our demand prediction went very wrong, right? And then eventually, what we did is to over rely. This was the first big reason. The second big reason was over relying on one channel, right? Product hunt is sort of now, I stay away from product hunt these days, but used to be pretty much the place for launch in 2018, 2019. That's what I'm talking about in this scenario. And we did over rely on that. We did a lot of preparation for it. We ticked off all the right boxes. Right? Yeah, there's a playbook for launch on product, and it's available everywhere. I mean, there are thousands of people who've written about it. And be like, oh, just give it the playbook to me. I'll tick off all the boxes and run the launch. But did not go through because we did over rely on one channel, right? So specifically two big reasons: wrong demand prediction, over relying on one channel. That definitely derailed our launch.
So Parth, how do you adjust your marketing tactics when you see that a product launch is underperforming?
There are a lot of nuances to it, I would say. And one big thing which I've seen is that understanding that launch is a very big thing for you, right? And we make it our universe, but it's not as big as a thing for others, especially your audience, right? They can come back and consume the same experience as well, or a different set of audience can come back in the same experience of it as well. So the reason I'm telling this is relaunches are very important, right? I mean, a follow-up launch or a relaunch is very important. So what once happens is, like, to discuss a few things which can derail your product launch, right? So first and foremost thing is to understand if the timing or anything else was not right, so that you understand, okay, traffic is not coming, my customers are not using it, new customers are not filing in, a lot of things are going wrong with the product launch. Maybe I can do a relaunch of it as well. I understand, because there are so many things, so many nuts and bolts have gone into really making the launch work, but it's too big for you, but not for your audience. Your audience still can consume a lot of content, a lot of launch direction from your side, and not only your audience, the entire world as well, right? So if the timing is not right, and something is probably really important, the first and foremost thing I would definitely say is to assess a relaunch, not necessarily do it, but assess a relaunch, and perhaps to do it is on a different channel. Like, if you've tried all these Hacker News, Product Hunt, and PRs of the world, why not do it on an event which is happening? Let's say Sastra is happening, demand reinforce is happening right now, HubSpot's Inbound happen. If the entire SaaS world is there, I'm just a little bit too biased towards the SaaS context, but if the entire SaaS world is there, why not take a guerrilla marketing kind of tactical launch your product there if it did not work out this way, right? Why not do it on some of the communities, like such as all of these Rev Genius and other kind of communities which exist and have their demo days and everything else as well, because they have a ready set of audience. They have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 active people, and they're looking forward for these launches, these demo days specifically, right? And whether offline or online, right? Both. Why don't piggyback on few of these places and understand, okay, my product is underperforming. That's all right. I'll move on. I have everything set up. I'll just take this and launch on either a physical context and events or communities or everything else is there, or I would launch it on a demo day or a collaborative launch with few other people who are who have similar set of audience to reach out to, and that
Right.
does help us wonders. So one thing I've noticed post launch, uh, one more thing which might not work out is the post launch support, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times product marketers are guilty of it, and sometimes product team as well. You launch the product, you've done everything wonderfully, it's not performing. Maybe it's not performing as well as you would have liked to because your post launch support is not great. That's why including customer success and sales team into the equation becomes decently important as well. Because if your post launch support is underwhelming, it's not, for example, you've given out a coupon, for example, that,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'll give you 50% off for the first 3 months. But how do they access it? How do they actually go about it? If your post launch support, if there's nobody to support them, eventually they're not going to come back because, like, let's be honest. I mean, 30-40% of discount for 3 months is not going to make a raise somebody's bank balance, especially if it's a B2B context. It's the experience of it. If your post launch support is not great, that would eventually continue hurting you in the long run as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if your product launch is not going right, look at two things. Either something is not going right, relaunch it, reassess it, and do things which do not scale, the community launch, the offline launches, and things like that as well. Because there are such platforms and it's happening day in and day out. And second thing, if you think that your launch has gone all right, but there's still you don't see the end conversions happening, why don't you go assess your post-launch strategy, post-launch support specifically, both from customer success, sales, and marketing side of things. Another reason I've seen product launches fail and marketing tactic can help into it is understanding. There's a definite. I wrote a blog very recently on this, how to define feature launches for uh, GTM for feature launch, not even product launches. So one thing which I came across was people getting very wrong is persona. So I've defined it in two ways in my blog as well, and I share it here as well. Is that there could be incremental personas or inclusive personas. And what
Right.
I mean by those is, let's say if you already are already have some sort of audience for your product, right? And you're launching a feature or a sub product for that case. Uh, is the persona inclusive? That means that, let's say, for example, you're targeting product managers. If you're a new product or new feature, this includes product managers. Great, go for it. Launch very nicely and keep the same tactics in mind.
Right.
But is it incremental personas? For example, you're a payment platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're technically a developers coming, your subscription payment platform developers are coming in, product managers are coming in, getting the subscription built into their application.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to accounting, reconciliation, right, invoicing, there has to be a different kind of persona, which is finance, auditing. These might also want to use a platform. When you
Right.
launch a product, which is an increment, which sort of gives uh, leeway or sort of gives an invitation for some
Mm-hmm.
kind of new persona, your launch tactics have to be changed. And that's why somehow your product launch may be underperforming because you might have kept product managers or developers in your mind for this launch,
Mm-hmm.
but actually it has been made for some entirely different persona. That concept of incremental or inclusive persona in launch becomes really, really important as well. And last but not the least on this point is let just piggyback on your customer, right? If it's not going right, whosoever has supported you, because you don't do a launch without having a few people to support you on that as well, right? And if you do that, definitely take a great buy-in from them. And of course, let them be your mouth bandwagon or anything else on social media and etc. So that can actually support a decent bit of launch as well.
Definitely. Those were some really amazing points. When it comes to planning a GTM strategy, how do
Mhm.
you balance speed to market with the need for thorough preparation in GTM strategy?
Uh, Honest to goodness, there's no right answer for this. Seen both. Uh, Sometimes favor tilting in for one thing or the other as well. But as much as you can, try to bring some kind of balance between them.
Mm-hmm.
And the first and foremost thing is to understand when to launch. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, is MVP too early, or subscriber ready $10,000, $20,000, $100K MRR product, or is something between them, right?
Right.
So that depends on a lot of things. One of them is which your scale of audiences, the number of audience which you're going after, the kind of journey you're in right now. So I have mostly noticed it's either just after MVP has been
Mm-hmm.
developed, if you're an early stage product, or if you're launching a sub product, it's when you have tested out with a few beta customers, right?
Right.
So that's the place when you launch the product. And And as you rightly said, right, the market needs, and the speed has to be balanced with that as well. The good thing nowadays is that you can do a lot of these things in parallel. And start building a pre or a wait list kind of thing from maybe 5 months from the product development time as well, right? I mean, people would still come back to it. And the advent of AI, making nice videos, making pseudo, you know, product demos, get Figma, get everything else as well. For example, I've seen people launch their product with a Figma prototype as well, right?
Okay.
So there's definitely no balance between where you can launch and how you should launch. And sometimes just the market's telling you the right thing or the wrong thing as well. But I think just after MVP launching is a great thing if you're a new product, right? Just after you've tested out a few beta customers, if you're already existing product and launching as a product, and use AI as much as you can in your launch process, especially for things which require a lot of manual work, right? Preparing waitlist, preparing demos, sending out emailers, right? Understanding, building your target list, right? I mean, because when your pre-list comes into play, building a target list also becomes a lot of a very lengthy process overall. Now there are tools where you can like go on to LinkedIn and find, let's say, people are talking about XYZ problem and discussing about it. Scrape all the people who have commented, talked about it, or posted anything related to that. Start building your list over time. And this used to take us a lot of time back in 2019 to understand who's actually interested in our product. But times have changed right now, and a lot of people, a lot of tools are available to give. This is one such example to give you a lot more speed into your, so you can parallelly build product, and of course start with your GTM strategies as well. And most importantly, run it like a tech sprint. I This is an underrated. Somehow I came across it because when I was in Communicate a few years ago, I used to handle some part of product as well. So we thought, okay, let's run product launches a tech sprint as well. 15, 20, XYZ number of days to launch it as a sprint generally is in a tech in a development environment. And of course, there's a lot of pre-preparation involved in it. There are two, three different people involved in it. There's a product team involved in it. There's a marketing team involved in it. So run it like a tech sprint. And define this, you have to do it, get it done by so and so time. If I don't, I would still launch the product, even if it's half baked or not, right? So run it like a tech sprint has helped me a lot because there's a lot of retrospective involved in that as well. But yeah, again, coming back to the same point, there's no right time, but definitely just after MVP. And use as much AI as you can, especially in your preparation stuff.
So, Pat, coming to my final question, how do you ensure that insights from a failed launch have been captured and applied to future launches so that you don't make the same mistakes again?
Well, this is very underrated stuff. People just launch their product and forget about it. Most of the times that happens. But actually, both good and bad insights have to be taken into consideration, right? What you're talking about. So first of all, understanding, so it's a lot of pre-preparation involved. Like these are the 10, 15 metrics I want to move because of my launch, right? It's website traffic, of the social engagement, signups, conversions, you name it, right? So all of these metrics, you just make a benchmark of, okay, because of my launch, I want to do so and so things. Let's say I want 300 signups, I want 20% increase in branded traffic, I want 15% social engagement, or whatever. Right? Just make a benchmark that this is my launch looks like with its success. And then I go back to the same thing, right? Run it like a tech sprint. So once your sprint ends, a retrospective happens. Like if things have gone right, have they gone right? Great. What has gone right? Why did it go right? Amazing. Well done. But if it has gone wrong, you've taken an issue which has not been solved, you've taken a product enhancement which has not been done. Why is it not done? And that retrospective helps product team deliver better each and every sprint going forward. Right? And so we did the same thing in our product launches as well. Do a retrospective of it. Understand if things are going right. Be able to understand, okay, I did X, Y, Z things, and that helped me get 300 signed up. My goal was 250. My social engagement was less, right? So what could I do? Top three reasons for it? Just simple top three wins and three losers or a formula. Just put it over there and understand if this is actually this, and run it like, why I say run it like a tech retrospective, because it's noted, it's documented, it's in the sprint folder somewhere in your organization, Jira, Linear, or whatever you're using in your project management. So if you do that, you have a collective repository of last 3, 4, 5, 6 product feature, whatever launches you've done. And over the time, it builds a very nice rhythm that, okay, you're fixated on a few things, but these are not right, these are not wrong. You take a good input on deliver.
Hmm.
And now with AI coming everywhere, you can just maybe if you've maintained it on Notion or Confluence or wherever you've maintained this repository, you can just run a, let's say I'm trying to launch a feature and I plan to launch a so and so channel. What are the last mistakes or whatever the top 3 losses I had from last 5 launches? You don't even have to look into and go through each and every point in your documentation,
Right,
and
right.
AI will fetch the answer and give you key. These are the 3 things you did right. These are the 5 things you did wrong. Make sure that you don't repeat them with the same kind of launches. And
Hmm.
you have it pretty fast and pretty accurate because it's your own data in the end. That's what you have filled in, right? So it's very, very important to run it like it expect you run it as however you want. But understanding that things have gone right, things have gone wrong,
Hmm.
specific, crisp, pithy 3, 4 pointers under each of the segments which you hit the goal for, which you did not hit the goal for, and just continue documenting it. And these insights eventually will help you become a lot better, right? For example, my second launch, which I told you about, that did not go as good as my first launch went. We understood that overrelying on one thing is not going to work, right? So when the third time we launched a sub product in the minigame, we launched it everywhere, where we can have from hacker news to product hunt to PR to everything else as well. And similarly, back in 2015, when I did my own startup, in 2016, that was a B2C app. And in that, we tried to launch it, and B2C is that launch very feeble. It stays for 2, 3 days and just goes off, right? But it was an app for travel networking, as you could travel from one place to another. You can travel with your friend. You can travel and make connections on that app itself. So what we did, we did a launch. It did not fare that well. So what we did once again, go back and understood key our personas are wrong, and the goal which we wanted with did not match our demand projections. So we went back, collected all the college students of so and so in Delhi. It was in Delhi NCR back in 2016, and we created a school for college guys chapter in each city so that they can help us whenever we launch. Right. So anything the relaunch came into play whenever we enhanced the app and included one more channel. For example, we were only air travel before, but when we
Hmm.
launched train and Delhi Metro in the application, those people became a bandwagon. Okay, yeah, let's do this college communities, Delhi Metro. Everybody travels in Delhi Metro and college communities. Why not just launch it and learn it like a product, or launch it like a new product there? We did that. It successfully helped us out in a lot of things.
Right.
And it would have not been possible if we did not know the 3 or 4 things which went wrong from the first launch. That's my last answer.
That was wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, Parth, for sharing your insights and experiences with us. Our viewers would have definitely learned something new here. So, with this, we conclude our today's episode of Martech Legacy. If you have liked it, then please do like and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.